Welcome back. You are still watching Market View right here on Eswatini TV. On to this now. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, working with key partners, last week hosted a 3-day micro, small and medium enterprises MSME conference to tackle the real challenges facing small businesses and chart a path for growth. Among the major announcements were a new hotline for MSMEs to report delayed payments from suppliers and an African Alliance initiative offering to pay outstanding MSME invoices for a small service fee. Joining us to unpack the conference resolutions and share what is next is SEDCO Chief Executive Officer K2 Mhlanga. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Ms. Tole.
Good. Glad to have you in studio. We'll get to it. So perhaps you could share just an overview of some of the key resolutions that emerged from the conference.
Some of the key resolutions that came out is the issue of the environment for our MSMEs. They want a conducive environment, which means that they want to have access in terms of our local markets as well as outside markets in terms of global trading. They also want access to finance. They also want infrastructure that speaks to them as SMEs. They want also to be considered in terms of the digital transformation space, consider their businesses in that space. So it's a lot that needs to be done in terms of the outcomes that have come out.
All right. With regards to some of the challenges that you have mentioned, access to finance and late payments and many other bottlenecks, they are not new. Why have these persisted for as long as they have for these number of years?
What has happened is that we haven't had any proper, I would say, ways of addressing issues of access to finance as well as of having the issue of late payments being addressed accordingly. When it comes to access to finance, what we've had is the traditional way of doing business over the years in terms of access to finance to our commercial banks and our developmental financial institutions. And yet now there are new ways of doing business in terms of how can you get finance. We've had the right schemes. We have funds all over the place. We have the youth fund, we have the agricultural fund, we have the revolving fund. So the funds are there, they are available, but our SMEs are still seen as a risk. So they don't have the proper capacity to access, which comes to issues of having a proper business plan. Is it viable? Is the model of your business that you're running going to actually have profit? We know banks, they're only interested in profit because the money really is not theirs. It belongs to the customers, so they cannot easily give it to our entrepreneurs. So now there are new ways of doing things. We're saying to our entrepreneurs, consider other ways of getting finance. There's now crowdfunding. There's now the stock market where you can list your company and raise capital through those platforms. There's also the issue of just being able to have a business plan that speaks to the actual business that you have. Some entrepreneurs are not even familiar with their business plan. They'll get somebody to do it for them and they won't understand it. So when they come and present it to the financer can clearly see this person doesn't know much about what this business plan actually means for their business. So they need that capacity building to be strengthened. Those are one of the things. And then in terms of now the issue of payments, it's really, I would say, it's something that government has been trying to address. We've had the element of saying government at the moment might not be able to pay because maybe there's issue of liquidity. But there's also an element whereby we find ourselves having entrepreneurs having their invoices and Ministry of Finance will announce that payments have been made to all MSMEs, but some will be left behind. And what is being perceived now is that their invoices, it means they're being held somewhere. So we need to get to the root of that. Where are they exactly being held? If Ministry of Finance is saying funds are available and we've paid all MSMEs, what's the challenge now? So now we have opted that, okay, let's have a reporting line within SEDCO, where they will be able to report if their invoices have not been paid. They could be reporting government, they could be reporting parastatals, including SEDCO itself. So if we're also owing reporters, they could be reporting the private sector as well, because we also have the element whereby our SMEs, they would provide services to the private sector. And then there's the element that they're not being paid on time. There is that 90 days allowance for payments. And for a small company, 90 days is a lot. And you'll find that then they will go under because they don't have money to restock because of that. So now with the element of saying, okay, report to SEDCO, so we find where exactly is the blockade, where is the red tape, and we'll be able to then follow it up and submit it as well to the ministry. This basically eliminates even issues of corruption. Let's say your invoice is being held by some accountant somewhere, waiting for a kickback, basically. We would have addressed that element because now it would have been something that is in the forefront that here's my invoice and it has not been paid because of A, B, and C.
Right.
Yes.
We'll get to how the reporting line works, but you've just mentioned some of the challenges. Let's talk solutions. Given the resolutions brought to the table, what are some of the new approaches that we can say are being introduced or being brought to ensure that some of the challenges, the existing challenges, some of the bottlenecks are actually resolved?
Okay. Just an overall, not just only on the access to finance. We have one in terms of the regulations themselves for our MSMEs, the space that is being created now that, for example, with the Citizen Economic Act, that now we'll have sectors that are reserved specifically for our MSMEs. And the regulations, once they come out, they will be clear on how those spaces are reserved for our MSMEs. And then when it comes to access to finance, again, it's the element of now introducing our entrepreneurs and capacitating them on the new ways of doing business, accessing crowdfunding, making them understand that being in business also means networking. Your business is all about also considering the social aspect of it, because there are some funders like the venture capitalists and your angel investors. They are more concerned about how you run your business. Is your business contributing to the economy? Is the business contributing to your community where you are? Are you considering issues such as governance? So how do you treat your employees? You know, how do you treat the environment? You know, issues of sustainable development. So you'll find those angel investors who are willing to support your business because of the way you are managing your business in your community as a social enterprise as well. And then there's the element of, okay, you don't have market access. We're speaking market access within the country and then market access outside the country. If you don't have market access in the country, there's an issue of us speaking to our retail for them to consider local produce goods. But it also means how are we capacitating our entrepreneurs to actually meet the quality and standards for their goods to be acceptable in our shops. We have a challenge that if somebody is producing, let's say, a bottle of chili, for example, and if it's not indicating the branding, when was it manufactured, when does it expire, what ingredients are in there. I cannot put that on the shelf for the public to consume. Was the product tested? So there's a program currently ongoing at the moment for MSMEs, which is on the certification. We're starting with the local one for, it's called Ingelo certification, which we're working with Eswatini. And with that, it's basically ensuring that their products are certified and they are for consumption as well for our clients, the public in Eswatini. And then take them to the next level now. How do we get them to be export ready? We have markets available. We have markets within SACU, we have markets within SADC, we have markets within the African Continental Free Trade Area, even the EU and the AGOA and UK, but we never fully utilize those lines. We never meet the quota, which is also the challenge with our entrepreneurs. They don't produce enough for them to export. They only produce little quantities. So we're exploring, is it possible to do clusters? How can our entrepreneurs organize themselves that they collaborate with one another so that they are able to meet a certain market? Let's say, for example, you are all in the, maybe you are manufacturing jam. All of you who are manufacturing jam, can you form a cluster so that we make sure that we meet a quota, we are able to export a huge quantity to the different markets? That would assist us as entrepreneurs. However, as a Maswati, we have this thing of working in silos. We are not willing to collaborate. It's a mindset that we need to change. So still the issue is capacity building, bringing in different kind of trainings like the mindset. Let's encourage collaboration and see how far we can go. Right. And also have infrastructure that is specifically for MSMEs. SEDCO is okay when you're starting, but you need something bigger, not as big as the ones like factory shells that are run by IEPA, for example, but have factory shells specifically for MSMEs, where now even in those ones, it could be a cluster, for example, that they all share it and produce together and be able to access market in a cost-effective manner than they are doing currently.
So what you're saying is access to markets for our local MSMEs and growth actually really does require collaboration.
Absolutely.
As we part, I'd like to ask you this one final question, which I request that you respond in 30 seconds. MSMEs play a significant role in Eswatini's economy. According to the UNDP, they do contribute an estimated 50% to the country's GDP. The first of its kind MSME conference, of which there was a request that we take it to the 4 regions of the country. How do you see it, well, you know, the MSME sector as a whole, how do you see it, you know, contributing to the country's economic growth in 5 years? Not only the conference, but also these MSMEs in terms of youth economic empowerment, in terms of job creation. What's their role here?
Their role is really to take up space, as particularly for the youth. So we'll definitely go to the 4 regions. And what we will do, we'll do it like we do with the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, that we take it to all regions and have the youth to participate, use the digital platforms that are available. They have innovative ways of doing business. Let's encourage them. And more than anything, we are going to be rolling out more training for our entrepreneurs so that they are able to have that financial literacy and business development aspect with them.
Ketue, thank you very much for your time. That was Ketue Mhlanga. We're unpacking the recently held MSME conference in Eswatini, the first of its kind. This is Market View. We'll come back with our in-house economist, Analyst Sibia, after this.